This episode of the Children's Literature Podcast is brought to you by
150 episodes.
Congratulations. So, as we did with our 50th and 100th episodes, we have a whole bunch of questions that we went through. I've selected 5 because I didn't want the episode to get too long. You have to get to bed soon. But before we get started, there was some show business. The format of the show has kind of been evolving. Over the summer, I stopped releasing episodes every single Monday. This was partly because I found it kept me tied to shows that were about the same length every time. And some topics need 5 minutes. Some need several episodes. So I started just releasing episodes when I wanted to. And this gives me the flexibility to quickly release a short episode if there's a current event. But it also gives me the time to do bigger, deeper episodes, like the current series I'm doing on the way Howard Shore adapted The Lord of the Rings into the best movie soundtrack ever. I also needed to switch things up over the summer so that I had more time to work on a secret project, which is another novel.
2 years ago, we published Cindy Feller, an Old West fairy tale. You can find it on Amazon. And we are currently thinking about publishing a whole series of Old West fairy tales. But my mom right now is working on something a little different.
That's right. So over the summer, I've been working on a novel. I've had the notes for this for a while, and it combines a bunch of things I really love. It draws on the local history of the absolutely beautiful part of Leicestershire that we live in. And I think this is a really overlooked part of England, so I'm very happy to do what I can to help it shine. It also involves time travel and one of my favorite things, which is choo-choo trains.
Choo-choo!
So those are all the clues I can give you for now. I'm almost done writing it. I'm in the home stretch. I think I only have maybe 2 chapters left to write. It might be 2 or 3, depending on how I decide to do the pacing. And I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you. The YouTube channel has really taken off, which I've been pleased with. It's been so nice to have nice conversations with you there. And I guess I had a little epiphany the other week when I realized, oh, we actually are kind of getting a following on there because I started getting hate mail. Not very many. Most of the comments are absolutely lovely, and I really enjoy interacting with you all. So please do keep commenting. But I will have a policy for negative comments, which is I'm just going to ignore them. I mean, you know, the internet can be a wonderful place. It can bring a lot of people together, but it's also a place where people can just pop off with any rude comment that they feel like, and that's just not worth my time. Sometimes they are amusing. I do enjoy the sillier ones. One of my favorites was one where someone said my video was a complete waste of time. And the thing I found funny about that is, okay, so the video is a waste of time and you decided to waste more time by commenting. Okay. Anyway, so as a rule, I won't respond to hate mail. I won't delete any comments unless they're actually like profane or being rude to someone. You really have to cross a line before I'm going to censor anything. But if you're using potty words or anything like that, I'll take it off because this is a family show. Just to tell you what's coming up later on this year, I had been doing a lot of episodes about historical fiction this year, just a theme to kind of tie it together. And we have a whole bunch of shows coming up soon that are about the American Girl doll books, the old school ones from the 80s and 90s, prior to the time that Mattel kind of changed the format. Out of the old American Girl books that you've read, which are your favorites and which ones do you want to start with first?
I think we should start from oldest to youngest of what we have, so I think we should start with Samantha.
Okay, well, do you mean by oldest, do you want to go with order of publication or order of history?
Order of publication.
Okay. No, I actually really like that because these books came out when I was a little girl. And so I remember when they would add an American Girl doll and all of a sudden you'd hear, oh, a new one was coming out. A thing that I would love to try to get a hold of for you are just, if I could get one of the old catalogs, please let me know if you also grew up in the 80s or 90s and you remember getting an American Girl doll catalog in the mail. They were gorgeous. There were these big catalogs and it had all the dolls and all their stuff and all their furniture. And you're looking
they
pretty.
Have furniture.
Oh yeah, there was furniture. So like,
how much are they?
It was pretty expensive. Like, you know, if you bought...
Yeah, but like right now, how much is?
Oh, well, right now they're collector's items. They're worth like thousands and thousands of dollars. Like,
I thought I could save up my money.
I would say that the two dolls that you have upstairs are reasonably valuable. They're not quite as valuable as, say, like, if you have like a mint edition Kirsten doll with like the whole outfit, the bonnet, the boots, everything. That's probably actually worth quite a lot.
Yeah, I have Elizabeth doll with her dress and shoes, and also a bonnet, and I think it's also a bag.
I remember getting these catalogs, and you would just lay on your stomach and spread it out on the floor and just look at all the wonderful things. I mean, every little accessory that you would see in the pictures in the books, you could get out of this catalog. But I could go on about that all day. We should probably move on. So if you are a fan of the American Girl doll books from back in the day, please let us know which ones you really enjoyed, and kind of maybe send in your thoughts or reflections. If there's a special memory you have about one of the American Girls, we'd love to be able to read that out when we review the books. Well, should we get on to our first question?
Yep.
Okay, so why don't you read this first one from listener Dizzy?
Do you ever worry about having your kid on the show?
Yeah, I do. In fact, now I've had both of my kids on the show because I can't keep the little one out of the room. I mean, it's a problem.
She's in here right now.
She is, and that's fine. You know what? You're going to hear noise. That's okay. We're a family. This is a family show. If you spend any time with kids, you know that they make noise, and that's just part of life with children, so we can deal with it.
It's almost impossible to get a show absolutely quiet in the background.
It's true. You just can't. So whatever. I don't care. No, and I think what this question is more getting at, and actually I want to know what you think about this. Having your kid online is a tricky thing because you're a kid. You don't understand how you're going to feel when you're 20 or 25 or 30 or 50 or whatever. And you also, you know, you're old enough, I think, to basically understand what it means to go online. But there's also things that you might change your mind about. Like, what if one day you don't want to be on the show? So why don't you tell the listeners about when you come on the show? When do you come on the show? Why do you come on the show? What do you talk about? You tell everyone how you feel about it, and then maybe think about if you think you'll change your mind one day.
So I usually come on the show just sometimes to randomly pop in and be like, hey Mom, can I join the show today? Or sometimes during like the 50th, 150th, 100th episode, I will always come in to answer questions. And also, sometimes, if you ask me to come on, I'll be like, I'll think about it, or I'll be like, yes, or I'll be no.
And that's important for me. I would never want you to come on the show because you felt you had to. Every time you've been on the show, I hope you wanted to. It seemed like you wanted to. You
Yes.
always wanted to?
Yes.
Okay, good. I mean, I would never want you to come on the show if it wasn't your choice. That would take all the fun out of it, because we've actually had a lot of fun making a few of these episodes. We had a lot of fun doing the April Fool's joke one, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. That one.
I think we laughed so hard we messed up half the takes.
Oh, yeah.
But, so, you know, we can do things to kind of keep you safe online and just sort of go over basic rules of being safe on the internet.
Mama,
Yes, sweetheart.
it's back now.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry. We'll take care of it. Okay? That's a really nice Lego thing you're making. It's really good. It actually is really good. She's gotten pretty good with Lego in the last few weeks. Maybe we'll have to show some pictures. So, you know, I feel like you have a good idea of how to be safe online. Don't talk to strangers. Don't give away personal information, things like that. But let's fast forward a couple of years and you're like 16 or 17. And
A couple of years, I'll be 12 or 13.
no, okay, sure. So down the road, when you're a teenager and you're super sassy, and maybe one day you're going to go like, oh, I can't believe I was on that show. I totally regret doing that. I can't believe you made me do that. Like, let's just pretend you felt that way. I've had to think about this. Like, what if you change your mind later? what would you want? Would you want us to like delete the episodes, or would you just kind of quietly not want to be on the show anymore? Like, if you think you changed your mind in the future, how would you handle that?
I think I would not want any episodes to be binned or just deleted, because everybody on the show has one favorite episode. And probably all of the episodes are taken up by favorites. Maybe one or two are left out, but if I delete one, maybe like 10 or 12 people could have their favorite episode binned. And I would make a lot of people feel really sad just because of me. And then I would feel even more worse than if I just left it around.
Oh, well, that's very thoughtful. Gosh, you're a nice kid.
Of course I am.
No, well, and I hope that you would feel that way later on. I mean, you know, this is a nice show where we talk about books. And if anything, the feedback that I've gotten from listeners has always been something like, wow, your kid's so smart and your kid's so cool to want to like talk about books. Like, not very many kids would want to do that. Yeah.
I'm not very smart.
You're very smart. Come
What?
on. Nah, you're being silly. It's okay. It's hard. It's hard because you don't want to brag, but you also can be honest. You are a smart kid.
I am not.
Yes, you are. Okay.
I'm not.
Moving along. All right. So yes, you know, I do think about what does it mean when my kids are on the show, and, you know, you don't want to be, I don't know, you don't want to like stage manage your family. That seems really gross to me. So my policy is always, if they're on the show, it's because they want to be. They don't have to talk about anything they don't want to talk about. And if they don't want to do it anymore, they don't have to do it anymore. That's fine. Yeah? Pinky swear? Seems like a good deal. Okay, this next question comes from an anonymous listener. Did your teacher catch you reading in class? Now, I sneaked this one in at the last minute because it came in after last episode, where if you haven't heard this episode yet, Chloe confessed that she missed the first chapter of a book that they're reading in school.
Stop.
Do you want to explain what happened?
Yes.
Okay.
So, in class, we had started reading a book, and like I listened to like the first 1 minute of the chapter, and I wasn't really finding it exciting because beginnings of stories for me like aren't really catching unless they suddenly like one or two sentences just describing the place and then suddenly dive into the characters. Mm-hmm. But it was like describing the place a little too much. So I just got out my book and read. I did that for actually about a week.
What, you're reading another book in class?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. You're going to get busted.
And then on Friday, one teacher saw me reading a little bit. I didn't get in trouble a lot, but I was just asked to stop reading.
Okay.
But I did get caught. But it was an assistant teacher, so technically my teacher did not. So yes/no to this answer.
Okay. If you ever got busted for reading under the desk when you were supposed to be reading something else in class, please let us know. I would love to hear your stories, especially if they're funny or if you got in a lot of trouble.
And especially if they're like my story.
Yeah, let us know if you ever got in trouble for reading during class when, you know, you're supposed to be doing something else, especially if the story's funny. We would love to share that out with everyone. All right, so the next question, this one's going to be a little bit more for me. It's from listener Sam. And it goes, we get it. You hate Rings of Power. I think listener Sam saw my little skit I did about the Harfoots. So how would you do a Lord of the Rings show? And to me, the answer to this is obvious. I mean, of course, you have to get the production rights and all of that. But Byron and Luthien, it's such... I mean, this is a story that was so important to J.R.R. Tolkien that on him and his wife's graves are the names Byron and Luthien. This story has everything. It's got epic romance. It's got young lovers who want to be together, but dad says no. And they have to go on this adventure to go and claim this jewel. So this is a story that happens before The Lord of the Rings, Chloe. It's in a book called the Silmarillion, which I'm sure you'll read someday. It's sort of a rite of passage for all nerds. And
I am not a nerd. I will never touch that book or come within.
Actually, it's pretty good. No, it's pretty good.
Then
so
you're saying you're a nerd.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to argue against that. No, so the story of Byron and Luthien, it's, so Byron is a man, and Luthien she's the daughter of like an elf king and his wife. And so they have to go on this adventure together to try to get this jewel out of the crown of the wicked Lord Morgoth. And they get the best doggo ever. He's a really, really good dog. He's like really, really...
What breed is he?
I don't think there's a breed exactly. He's just described as being a great hound. He's such an awesome doggo, and he's such a good mythological dog that he's like, he surpasses all concept of breed.
I hope he's a St. Bernard dog, because those are my favorite.
Actually, yeah. Well, he was big, so, St. Bernard could be part of his lineage. Let's just say that. So anyway, they go on this big adventure, and there's the chance to introduce so many interesting visuals and music, because you have the moment where, Luthien dances and Byron sees her and falls in love. And then you have the moment where Luthien dances before Morgoth to cast a spell to cause him and his whole court to fall asleep. These are very cinematic moments. There's also incredible battles, and there's some really, really sad moments in the story that if it was told right, I mean, people would just be like, super crying, big time crying. And the ending is so bittersweet, and they love each other so much, and they have each other's backs through this whole story. So yeah, like Byron and Luthien, one tightly focused story. I mean, there's way more YouTube videos than you could ever count on how bad Rings of Power is. And one of its many problems is that it's just so unfocused. It's telling like 10 different stories about characters that nobody cares about because they're nothing like the characters in the book. Focus on the characters that Tolkien loved best. Tell that great love story. It really would make people happy. Maybe we'll get that movie one day, or, it could work as a TV series too, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Unfortunately, we haven't been getting very good stuff. I have mixed hope for, the movie about the Rohirrim coming out at Christmas. I hope it's okay.
Mama, can you get this?
I can get this Lego piece off. Technical difficulties. There you go. Yeah, we've all been there. We've all had Lego be stuck, and you got to go to Mom and say, Mom, can you please get this Lego piece off?
I never do it.
All right, next question.
I want to read it.
Okay, and you can maybe help with this one too a little bit.
This question is from listener Lisa. Could Harold and the Purple Crayon ever have been adapted? It's too simple of a story. I agree, because, Lisa really gets the story. He's only, a 2-year-old with a huge purple crayon the size of him. He just wanders around in his imagination, draws a moose and a porcupine, my personal favorite character.
Porcupine's pretty cool.
The porcupine's so cute.
Yeah, I mean, unless you just do kind of the basic cartoon adaptation. So shortly after the book came out, they did do a little cartoon version of the book, but it's really just the exact story. And I think the video is 7 minutes long. It's however long it takes to read the book. So no, you couldn't directly adapt it. As I said in my review of this film, the mistake they made was just that showing Harold as a grown-up, he was just kind of like this man-child. He had a grown-up's body, but he was acting like a little kid, and it just really wasn't that believable. That wasn't any of the actors' faults that the film was bad. The script just wasn't there. I mean, Zachary Levi is clearly an actor who puts a lot of work into his physicality, and he's all in on the performance. And there were some really cool visual moments. I liked a few of the scenes when he was drawing things, and the visual effects were actually really, really nice. But yeah, well, he drew the airplane, and then it, and just the special effects. It was cool seeing some of those visuals, and I thought those were well done, but cool visuals does not a story make. What they should have done instead was, so if you've got, Zachary Levi or whoever is your lead character, what they should have done is had that person play the author, Crockett Johnson. And then what I would have done instead is have the character of Harold, the little boy, come to life somehow. Somehow he escapes from the story with his purple crayon. And then what you've got is... Okay.
Oh, and the pictures of him are missing in the book.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Because if there is a picture of him in the book and
then he jumps out and he's gone.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how Crockett Johnson discovers that Harold has escaped. So now imagine this. Imagine your little sister had a magic purple crayon that could draw anything and make it real.
Disaster.
Exactly. That's how you make a good story.
My room would be overtook with Paw Patrol teddies.
Yeah, probably. So what you would have is you would have this author, the creator of this character, who suddenly then has completely lost control of basically an all-powerful little kid. That would be, it would be terrifying. It would be incredibly messy. And then you would have to have this story where the author has to figure out how to regain control of his creation, but in a way that respects him as a person.
Bribe him with
cookies. That's only going to work for so long, because then you can really get into issues of parenting.
In the book.
Oh.
And then he jumps into the book, and then eats the cookies, and then slam the book shut.
That could be funny. I mean, it might be a little more emotionally satisfying if both the author and Harold kind of like grow as people and learn to respect one another. But that could be really funny that, maybe there's
5-minute skip.
Because look, every parent does something like that at least once where you're like, I know this is a terrible choice, but I'm just going to have to bribe my kid to get them to behave in this moment. Because like sometimes that's just how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I think that if you were going to do something like Harold and the Purple Crayon and you wanted to move beyond the original story, you need to come up with something that's going to tap into like, relationships and watching these characters learn something and grow together. And that just was completely missing from the film adaptation. That was a giant whiff. It was, I'm frustrated because I wanted it to be good, but it just wasn't. Okay, we have our last questions. I think we're going to have to answer the second part first, though, because you're going to want to answer the first part many times. Okay, read that one.
Which one?
Well, so just read out the question.
All right, I'll start with the second question because I think the last question will take a long time.
Yes, and it's from listener Jen.
Are you going to talk about Lord Byron on the show?
So do you remember when we did the episode about poetry and we used Taylor Swift lyrics to start talking about the structure of poetry? Yes. So, and I mentioned that there was this poet named Lord Byron who's basically like the world's first rock star. Probably not. He didn't really write things for children. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I can flip through his catalog off the top of my head. I can't think of anything Lord Byron wrote that is for kids. I mean, advanced teenage students might encounter some of his stuff in, say, like an AP English class. For British listeners, that would be like kind of an A-level sort of course. But off the top of my head, no, but I'll look into it. It can't hurt. Now, the other part of Jen's question, she wanted to know, what are your favorite Taylor Swift songs? I have to confess, I am not totally familiar with the entire Taylor Swift catalog, but she does have a few bangers. I mean, what?
How?
Well, I'm old and I'm tired and I'm busy, and I already have lots of music that I like.
You can have more than...
I'm not saying I don't like Taylor Swift. I'm just saying that you are more familiar with her work than I am. I feel like that's a fair thing to say. I would say I really like We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together.
We are never
ever. Yeah. A solid, excellent angry breakup song is always fantastic.
Whenever I break up, I'm going to listen to that and scream my head off.
Good. Well,
because the person I broke up won't be happy with me anymore.
No, probably not. But it's also a good one because it's suggesting that a clean break is a good idea.
And the music video, she's dancing with rodents instead of her boyfriend.
Okay.
So she prefers rodents than her boyfriend. That's just my point of view.
No, good interpretation. Also, I've seen way weirder music videos than that. So, okay. I will now turn the floor to you, my dear.
How many?
Okay, let's limit you to 3 because it is almost bedtime.
3 from each album.
No, not 3 from each album.
Please, I'll be super quick.
No, you could have named 3 Taylor Swift songs by now.
I couldn't. All right, hold on.
Think really hard. Okay? Finger pose. what are your 3 favorite Taylor Swift songs?
All right. I've got a few in mind. They're actually albums.
Oh my gosh. Okay, no, songs.
Taylor Swift, Fearless, Speak Now, Red, 1989, Reputation, Lover, Folklore, Evermore, Midnight's, TTPD, and all of her singles, which I will not name, including the shows she was in.
Okay, so you can't name 3 songs, is what you're saying?
Okay. From her first ever album, it's joint between Tim McGraw and Teardrops on My Guitar.
Okay.
And also Picture to Burn. And then my second one, from Speak Now, is the song Enchanted. And from her final album, TTPD, is joint I Can Do It With a Broken Heart and Who's Afraid of Little Old Me.
Very nice. Phoebe, are there any Taylor Swift songs that you like?
You left your typewriter at my apartment. Scrape on the tortured poet's department.
I think that's a good place to leave it.
Some things I never say, like who
Thank you
uses
so much for
typewriters
writing in.
anyway?
And I know I say it at every episode, but thanks for listening.
So I leap from the gallows and then levitate down your street.
We look forward to 150 more
God,
episodes, and please write in and tell us what your favorite Taylor Swift song is.
Well, you
Why
should
not?
be.
Why not? This is now the Children's Literature and Taylor Swift podcast.
Yes, 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 yes! Let's go!